everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on Tsurune, episode 3. So, last episode, I got really confused, and I was almost tricked by the show into thinking that Masaki was a ghost. Good news is he's not. So that's really good. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the last episode. I like that Masato is like coming onto his own. He's like decided that he is going to pursue archery again, and I'm really excited about that. And so now the question is he going to go back to the Kyudo club? How's that going to work? Are they, I'm sure that Kaito is going to be all like, you have to earn your place and be all broody and all this. And I'm sure Seiya is going to be like, good, I'm glad you're back. And so I'm really excited to see what all that is going to entail. So we'll see, right? I'm really curious to see how Minato, it's not going to be an easy transition, right? It's just not going to be. I'm sure there's going to be complications and things go awry, but that's what we're here to watch, right? So I'm curious to see what role old Masa Senpai will take now that he kind of has gotten Minato back into the deal. What was he going to do? So is he just going to be a side character? Is Minato going to go to him a lot? Like, how's that going to work? Are we going to see Fujiwara, our purple-eyed boy? The only comments I had really from episode 1 and now getting into episode 2 is that the voice of Masaki, is the same voice actor as Kuramochi from Ace of the Diamond and Ugetsu from Given. Which, what a weird combination, right? Because Ugetsu, like Masa's like cool demeanor kind of fits more Ugetsu from Given, but his voice is a little bit deeper and it doesn't quite match like the pretty persona that he has, like the very handsome, like debonair persona that he has. The voice kind of fits Kuramochi more, so that's interesting. So a nice combination of the two. But yeah, now all I can picture is Masa when he was laughing at Minato thinking he was a ghost. I just picture Kuramochi's like Chisama laugh, and that's absolutely hilarious. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens in this episode. I am curious how we're gonna, already this series, it's been diving into some sports anime tropes, but it deals with them in a different manner than I've seen. So I like that. So we're getting back into the trope of, the character, the protagonist has decided to join back the team. Now, how smooth is this going to go? And what's that transition going to be like? So we'll see, right? So yeah, I'm pretty excited. So let's not waste any more time, shall we? We are going to dive right into Tsurune, episode 3. And we are going to do that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That was adorable. And what a twist at the end. I was like, that was a pretty easygoing episode. Nothing crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary. And then in the last 30 seconds, they're like, here's these 3 twists. Here you go. Not only about the one guy with the glasses being on the Fujiwara's team, which of course is the best team out there. They established Kirasaki's like the team to beat, the Inashiro of Kyudo. And also that Masa's going to be their new coach along with Tommy Sensei. Of course he is. And that not only does Minato know him, but Kaito does as well somehow. So, interesting, right? But oh my gosh, I have to say, going into this, Ryohei, best boy, a golden retriever of a human being, the most sweet and innocent and so dedicated to his friends and making sure that they're comfortable. He's so like kind-hearted and nice and just wants everybody to be in a happy place, that he goes out of his way to try to make sure that Minato, and also, God, there was an angle of this that I was like, I didn't expect this series to take, and I was like, oh God, really? We're gonna go there. We'll get to it when we discuss when Ryohei and Nanao are talking, but, so I do like the color coding that we have, that Minato's like, okay, I've got my green bag. Minato likes the color green, which my favorite color is green too, so I was like, okay, he's got the green dragonfly bag, he's got the green arrows, he's got the green shoes, he has the green eyes, he's all about it, right? But we had the club submission form. I wish to join the Kyudo club. Naramiya Minato. And then his dad is Naramiya Toshimasa. Okay. So yeah, he goes back and he has the journal. You can see the journal on the desk too. I thought that was a cool twist that that Masa gave the journal to help out people with his own target practice, his target panic routine, and that Ryohei, what I liked about this is that Ryohei didn't bring it up. That Ryohei, Ryohei is innocent. He's a sweet summer bean. but he's not dumb. And he also is pretty perceptive. And when he sees Minato has a routine and is doing his own thing to try to help, he backs off. He's like, okay, Minato's doing his thing. That's fine. We got this. And he doesn't bring up the journal. He lets Minato sort it all out and has faith and trust that Minato can do it. And I really like that about Ryohei. I like that Ryohei's not pushy. He like really wants things to work out and he wants to do all he can, but he's not pushy about it. That's what I like about him. That's what I like about his character. But yeah, Kaito, though, I like calling him Kaito. I know his name is Nogi, but I like Kaito, or Kacchan. And of course, like I just love that Seiya's like, I'm glad that he's back. We'll talk about Seiya and him in a minute. He's like, I'm glad he's back. Ryohei is like bouncing in his seat. And Nao's like, okay. And of course, Kaito is like, I refuse to acknowledge you. Like, I'm curious how Masa and Kaito know each other and how Masa has helped Kaito. I'm so curious. I mean, obviously, Kaito seems to really, really, really look up to Masa because he was instantly like, Masa senpai, Masa sensei. So I'm curious, right? And of course, Kaito is the epitome. He is a literal human cat, which it makes sense why they have cats all around him. He's like, well, you suck. So like, why are you here? I hate flip-floppers. What are you doing? He's just like a grumpy cat, right? And Minato's just like, yeah, what of it? And I love that they even have like their eyes are polar opposites, like the red and the green. Mm-hmm. And Ryohei's like, I don't want them to fight. And they don't really fight. They just don't quite get along, right? It's great. But yeah, so then we cut back here to the school and everything. And this part, there's some interesting, like, little tiny moments in each of these episodes that you're like, oh, there's little tiny character building moments that they don't overtly explain to the audience. It just happens and they are tied to their character and you're supposed to kind of like put the pieces together. So like when Ryohei he's like, oh, Minato and Seiya, and gets them. And Minato's like, I wish he'd stop treating us like a set. So there's still that air of tension between Seiya and Minato, and it kind of gets resolved a little bit in this episode, but it's still there. There's still a little bit of, it's curious, right? Because usually when you have the childhood friends that have been together, they're like thick and thin, and they have like, you know, the dynamic where they can rib each other. And I think of like Iwa-oi, where Ikawa and Waizumi, they like rib each other and they get onto each other all the time, but they're besties. No, Minato and Seiya are not like that. Minato is just like, he doesn't want to be associated with Seiya as a pair. He's like, no, I'm my own person, Seiya's their own person. And there seems to still be a little bit of tension between them, even after all of this, right? But Seiya, like, takes it all in stride. And then, of course, I was going to make a Neon Genesis reference because we have the exit signs. Anytime I see an exit sign now, I think of Neon Genesis. So that's fun. And so Tommy Sensei has been watching his form, and he says he can start wearing the Hakama today. That's so sad that Tommy doesn't have, he said, like, my poor back, I can't draw a bow anymore. That's so sad. And so, of course, getting Masa to come in. What is this? What is this? And so I like that Minato, too, is like, look, I said I was going to show up, so I was going to. You don't have to, like, run over here and treat me like, you know, I'm irresponsible. And Ryohei's like, well, you did run out on us, right? So he's just like, I just want to make sure you came, right? And so obviously he's worried about the target panic and everything. And Ryohei's like, I just wanted you to be more comfortable. I just wanted you to be comfy coming back. And when I was like, well, it's not your fault. He's like, not everybody's going to like me. That's the thing. Ryohei wants them all to get along and be friends. And Minato's like, look, not everybody's going to like me. It's okay. If Kaito doesn't care for me, it's fine. I'm prepared for that. And Ryohei's like, well, you shouldn't be prepared for that. People should be kind to you. I also forget that Seiya puts in contacts. I like that little tiny detail where I forget, like, he doesn't wear contacts during archery. He has his glasses off. I forget that he put contacts in. I'm like, It's good that they just give us that little tiny detail. And of course, Ryohei can't figure out how to put on the Hakama. He like has to have Seiya help him. So their colors, it's like Power Rangers. It's like the colors where we have, obviously Seiya has the blue, Ryohei has the orange, Minato has the green. Of course, on the polar opposite side is Kaito with the red, and then Nanao has the white. So, of course, right? And the charms on it. And so, yeah, Seiya kind of hits it on the nose. Seiya, like, gets around to it at the very beginning of the episode and says, well, as long as Minato takes it seriously and proves that he works hard, Kaito will come around and accept him because that's the type of person Kaito likes. So he's like, you'll be fine. And Ryohei's like, okay, sure, if you say so. And so they're like, okay. And Seiya's like, well, for better or worse, we have enough club members now. So that's all we needed. That's all we need for now. So, of course, we have Seo Rika, Hanazawa Yuna, Shiragiku Noah, and then we have Yamanouchi Ryohei, and Takahaya Saya, Kisaragi Nanao, Anogi Kaito, and then the one that's kind of off is Naramiya Minato. At least I think that's how it is, right? And so, yeah, they're setting up the targets. Nobody's hit a bullseye on that one, right? And then, interesting enough, Nanao's like, oh, I was supposed to set those up? And the girls are like, yeah, you were. And so Nanao was late, didn't get the target practice set up, and so Minato kind of did it instead for him. And the girls kind of get onto him, and he's like, oh, I'll go do it. And they're like, well, Naramiya's already set him up, so we're good. And he's like, oh, I love. He's like, wow. And he's like, oh, Naramiya, Merha. He's like, thanks. I see you set him up already. Thanks for doing that for me. And Minato's like, I don't care to do it, but what's the Merha thing? So this is interesting. He's like, what exactly is Merha? And he says it's an abbreviation for Merhaba, which is hello in Turkish. So I'm like, okay, is Nanao like half Turkish? Is one of his parents or family members from Turkey? And he's like, you try it. And he's like, and he's like, and Nanao's like trying to like, Nanao like tries to like connect with him with his little quirky like saying and everything. And Minato like he kind of does it. He's like, I don't know. And then the girls are like, you don't have to humor him, Minato, if you don't want to do it. It's fine. And so Nanao's like, Nanao is like 0 for 2, right? He is 0 for 2. Nanao is used to having all these girls in his fan club that like dote on him hand and foot. And so he tries to make like a little sly comment where he's like, oh, there's so many Tsundere girls in the Kyoto club. And Yuna, he's like, well, that's something I like about you. And Suna's like we'd ever be dare for you, Kisaragi-kun. Like, and the one girl goes, yeah, you can't hold a candle to Seo. I'm like, you might be barking up the wrong tree. Now, maybe. They're like, the one girl, Noah, she's like, you can't hold a candle to Seo. And they're like, yeah, what did they say? That's right. Seo's hotter than most of the boys around here. Yeah, this co-ed thing's going to work out great because they're not going to hit on you guys at all. Yeah, oh my God. And then Nanao's like, oh, well, Seo's just normal levels of cute to me. And it's funny. I love, like, man, Kisaragi's really something. And he's like, there's only 8 of us, so we all need to get along. And then Yuna gets onto him. He's like, yeah, there's only 8 of us because your friends scared off the rest. But I do think Seiya and Seo bring up a good point. All of the excuses they give here in this montage, they're like, oh, well, we didn't want to be just beginners, and we just joined to wear the suit, and oh, we didn't want to use rubber bows, and oh, we didn't want to do this and do that. They're all excuses, but at the tagline at the very end was, oh yeah, and Anogi's scary. So they just used him as an out. Him and Nanao's fans, they used those 2 excuses as an out instead of owning up to the real reason why they weren't going to stay in the archery club. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then, yeah, Anogi gets mad. And Tommy's like, I feel like Tommy Sensei, though, can see past it. And he realizes that, yeah, no, they were not going to work out for other various reasons, right? And now it's not affected by it. You're just like, oh, kids are wishy-washy, whatever. And then, of course, his fangirls, even though they're not there in the actual studio, they're still standing outside, like, doting on him, right? And I love that Kaito's like, do you think it's my fault? So, like, everybody in this episode, right, mainly Kaito and Ryohei, surprisingly believe that their personalities are the reason that people aren't, like, receptive to them, right? And of course, my dog wants me to throw that. it's interesting because Kaito and Ryohei have polar opposite personalities. They could not be more different, right? Kaito and Ryohei, they're totally dissimilar in terms of how their personality is. Ryohei is a literal golden retriever puppy, and Kaito is like the grumpiest of cats. But they both acknowledge, like, here, Kaito's like, oh, well, it's because nobody can get along with me. Is that it? I scared him off, huh? It's like Kaito's very self-aware that his personality is not conducive to making friends. Like, he throws people off. But Seo actually defends him. She's like, no, they're just using him as excuses. They weren't going to stay anyway. Has nothing to do with it. Like, it was a good litmus test. And then, of course, Yuna and Noah are like, Seo, you're perfect. And so then now he's like, well, we've got cute girls here, obviously. And now Naramiya's joined up, so we've got the 5 guys for a tournament. We're all good to go. Not a bad trade-off. And then, of course, Kaito is like hell, I'm going to be part of that tournament. I don't want to acknowledge Naramiya as a teammate. And Naramiya's like, I'm right here. Thanks. Cool that you don't want to acknowledge me. And Ryohei is just like, what do we do? How do I get you guys to be Nakama? And yeah, Kaito just doesn't understand the full story. He doesn't know Minato's deal. And he just thinks he's flip-flopping. He doesn't think he's serious, right? And Ryohei is like, I just want him to like acknowledge Minato so that we can all move forward. But Kaito's just being stubborn as hell. And Nanau's the one that has to kind of bring him back down. I feel like Nanao and Kaito are the childhood friends that we would imagine would be like the Iwaoi. They're the childhood friends that are like ribbing each other and get all up in each other's business and have polar opposite personalities, but somehow gels. Like they are the stereotypical childhood friend trope, is Nanao and Kaito, not Seiya and Minato. And so then, yeah, Seiya's like, well, you know, are you going to butt in? And then Tommy Sensei says, heavy rains harden the ground below. Meaning that sometimes you have to have these conflicts. Sometimes you have to have this butting of heads at the beginning, but it will build a stronger foundation by the end of it to where you can withstand more as a group. He's like, so yeah, they don't get along quite well now, but by the end of this, they'll be fine. Like, I like that Tommy Sensei's like, no, they will be okay. We got this. And so, yeah. And so Seiya's still kind of like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what to think about Minato and if he's going to stick with this. And Minato, again, like going off to get groceries, he's fine with going by himself. He kind of is a little bit of a loner, right? And so then that leaves us with Seiya and Ryohei kind of at the vending machines having a conversation with one another. And Seiya's just like, no. He's like, Minato will figure out a way to make it work. He's like, I knew he'd come back. I just didn't think it'd be this soon. And Ryohei's like, I just want him to get better. And Seiya's like, that's not something we really have control over. And Seiya kind of laments. He's like, when this target panic developed, he didn't think much of it at first. He didn't think it was a big deal. And then by the time he realized that, no, it wasn't just pressure from finals, it was a condition, it was too late. And he feels kind of as a friend that he didn't do enough. And so I like that Seiya kind of comes clean to Ryohei, that he has a little bit of guilt, that he feels like he wasn't a good friend, that he should have noticed things before they got so serious. But he's trying to like make up for it now. And Ryohei kind of shares that same emotion. He wants to help Minato feel comfortable again and get over his target panic. I just love, he's like so determined. He's literally the most wholesome being. And so he goes to this library and looks up all this stuff about target panic, right? And that's where he meets the guy that's on Kirasaki's team, who leads him, the book guy who leads him to going to the one store and getting the diary about the target panic. Want to make note too that the outfit that Ryohei has on, the big red and blue polo, like the most wholesome good boy Scout outfit possible. He reminded me of like Steve from Blue's Clues. Like he just seems like the most wholesome. I don't know what it is about that outfit, but he just seems like a Boy Scout. Like I want to just give Ryohei all the things. And so yeah, he reads the diary. And we see like August 10th is the last entry of it, right? August 10th is the last entry. And apparently Masa was able to get better eventually. But Ryohei gains a new perspective about it. He realizes what Minato's been suffering through. He's really concerned about him. Wants to help him all he can. And that's when he goes in there early and sees that Minato has been doing all the chores early, setting everything up. It's almost like a ritual. It helps get him in the mood. It helps get him in the zone. And then he practices to try to help get over his target panic. and doing everything that Masa encouraged him to do. Which is really sweet, right? I really liked that. And of course, he thinks back to the journal that Masa gives him. And he's like, the journal of all my futile struggles with target panic. From now on, the Cosmic Kyoto Club is where you belong. So he knew that Minato was going back to that club, and he knew he was going to end up coaching there. What a troll, right? He's like, work with your teammates to reflect on what archery means to you. Yeah, oh my gosh. So these two, Kaito and Minato, they had nothing in common. They agreed to just temporarily acknowledge, but they both have like super hardcore respect for the same mentor. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I bet it's gonna be like competitive now, because Kaito's gonna be like, why do you know Masa? How do you know him? You're not a good archer. That's gonna be interesting. And then of course, Minato says, will I ever see you again? And he says, of course you will, if you keep practicing archery. Which is not a lie! He's like, if you just keep practicing archery in the club, yeah, you'll see me around. Maybe every day. It's great, right? But again, I like that Ryohei doesn't interrupt him. He doesn't get with his routine. He realizes that he's doing what he can, and he lets it go. So then we get Kaito on the train. And again, Kaito and Ryohei are both surprisingly self-conscious characters. Like, they're self-conscious. Like, Kaito's like, is it really my fault that everybody quit? And then now it's like, I figured you'd be self-conscious. And he's like, give me a break. Who's self-conscious? Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I like it a lot. He's like, are you really serious, Kaito? And he's like, of course. You hate guys who aren't. He's like, but I think that Minato is serious. And so you might want to rethink that, right? And he's like, well, I'm not going to acknowledge him anyway. Brr, brr, brr. And so yeah, he gets distracted by, as they're timing how long he holds the bow, I guess, to try to figure out like what his average time is so they can increase it. So he'll keep holding the bow until he's ready to fire to overcome the target panic. But yeah, poor Ryohei. He's struggling to figure out what he can do, right? So this part here, as they're switching out the targets and he's lamenting things, Nanao's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? You can call me Nanao. And he's like, I call you Ryohei. And so they talk about it. And he's like, this isn't tiring. He's like, I just need to know what to do. And I keep thinking about it. About Kaito and Naramiya. And Nanao's like, yeah, you're a real nice guy, aren't you, Ryohei? And it's like the epitome of it. But Ryohei, he says, I wouldn't say that. He says, it's my selfishness that got Minato into this. And he talks about like how Minato was always like a hero type to him, which is so interesting because from what we've seen from Minato, he's so quiet and kind of introverted. He doesn't really come across as the cool hero type. But we see it from Ryohei's perspective, and Minato is like super gung-ho and like reaching out to grab him. Like, he seems totally different than he is now. So I think that's a really cool thing about perspective and how these characters view each other and how Minato is in Ryohei's eyes versus how we, the audience, have seen him. I think that's really cool. He's like, I still view him as a hero. And he's like, I love being in this club. He's like, I just thought it would be cool if everybody got along. He's like, I just wanted to try to like help make that happen, right? He's like, I hate seeing people I love butting heads. So he's like, I hate seeing my friends being mad at each other. He's like, that's not cool. But then here, Ryohei's like, oh, am I being annoying? And Nanao's like, yeah, severely. And Nanao's like, you're the best boy ever. He's like, and Nanao's kind of being sarcastic. Nanao's kind of be like, oh yeah, you're annoying. No, you're like the best. But then Ryohei says, I always do this. I can't read the room and I annoy people. And he's like, I wish I was more like you and Seiya. And I was like, oh my gosh. So you have Kaito, who knows, who is self-aware that he can be grumbly and be kind of agitated. And he's like, I drive people away, right? Is that really what's happened? Like, Kaito's kind of self-conscious about that. And then you have Ryohei, who is literally the biggest ray of sunshine. And is like, I'm really annoying to people, aren't I? Am I just annoying because I'm so nice? Because I'm so positive all the time? Is that annoying? Like, he thinks that he's a bother. And I'm like, oh my God, no, you're a cinnamon bun. How dare you? And then, yeah, when he lifts his head up and he has a little ring around it. And then Nanao's like, I wish I was more like you, actually. He's like, you're so kind. I think you're fine just the way you are. He's like, friends are one thing it's okay to be nosy about. And then he has a little ring above his head. It's so cute. He's like, is that how it works? He's like, yeah. He's like, sometimes a little annoyance is just what you need. And now is one of those times. He's like, we should be a little bit more, you know, annoying and nosy with them. So Now and Ryohei teaming up is like hilarious. I love that they team up in this. And Ryohei's like, okay. And then it's like, it's too much. It's too much chaos. No. So I love their plan. Their plan was flawless. Their plan was to ensnare Kacchan, to get him to watch Minato. The drawings are hilarious. To him being like, he's really doing it. Like being like, surprise Pikachu face. And then I love that it's like, and then they are acknowledged. Like it looks like it was drawn on MS Paint. It's amazing. And then what they didn't count on was that everybody else would show up because they all were curious as to who was cleaning up and doing all the stuff before the dojo opened. I like that now is represented by a frog. He has a frog on his case. He has the frog charms. And his icon is a frog and Kacchan's is a cat. And it looks like his cat because it looks like it's him standing behind him. Oh my God. I love it. And so yeah, then the plan is foiled, but kind of. I mean, when Seiya walked in, I was afraid that Minato was gonna like get all withdrawn again because it was Seiya, but no, he's actually pretty open and they all stand outside and listen. And then Seiya asks why he came back. And he says, I think I have a right to know, which is interesting. And Minato tells him, he's like, you know about Tsurune? He's like, I finally heard it again. He's like, I thought I lost it, but when he saw Masa, he's like, I finally heard it one more time. And the Tsurune no longer felt like a curse. It wasn't something I wanted to escape or run away from anymore. It's something I wanted to actively go after. And it's like, and Seiya's like, well, who got you out of that funk? And I guess now we're going to find out next episode, right? Oh my gosh. I was like, all right, cool. And he's like, it made me realize that Minato's like, I love archery so much that it hurts. And that's such a moment of realization when you love something to the point that you're like, I couldn't love it anymore. It like physically hurts how much I love it. Oh my gosh. I decided to cast everything, including my pride, so all I could return to this place. He's like, I decided to let go of my pride, the fact that I ran away, and come back, right? So good. And Seiya's like, okay. He's like, if you just told Inoki that, we probably wouldn't have had any fights, because that's something that he would have wanted to hear. And Minato's like, it's fine, it's okay. And of course, everyone hears it. And then Inoki's just like, well, who cares about his story? I'm not going to accept him still, blah, blah, blah. And then Ryohei is like, no, I'm going to defend him. He's like, yeah, this was our plan. But I love Ryohei. He's like, look, I've been reading about this target panic stuff too, and it's really hard. And he's like, Minato's struggling through a lot. And so I just want to support him and do all I can. I have faith in him. He's like, I drug him into this. So I want to make sure that since he's came back to the club, that we believe in him and do the most we can to support him. He's like, and one day he'll conquer his panic and show us some amazing archery. I love that gets to Kaito. Like Kaito gets they get the free hair bounce and the free surprise. They're like, but it's not Minato. It's Ryohei's faith in his friend that he's so sure. And now it's like, well, Kacchan, if you're gonna be honest, now's your chance because Ryohei just kind of showed you up. And I love that Kaito's like, I'll acknowledge Naramiya, but it's not because of Naramiya. It's because of you. Because you have faith in him. He's like, I respect you, Ryohei. He's like, I acknowledge Ryohei and I respect him. And if he believes in Naramiya, then I'll give him a shot. I guess. Maybe we'll become friends. Who knows? Right? Of course. And so then, yeah. So Ryohei takes the stuff back to the shop. Right? He takes it back. And he promises the shop owner that he'll keep being a patron. And so meanwhile, as it's going on, like Kacchan and them kind of mend fences for a moment. And they say, yeah, Ryohei's like, we're going to take Kurosaki down. I'm like, are we? They're the strongest school. We're a bunch of like amateurs, maybe would-be veterans. Okay, sure. Ryohei has a goal though. He's given the team a goal. But Seiya and Minato are like, we know who's on that team. Sure, we'll be able to face them. Sure. They know Fujiwara's on the team. And so then we find out the glasses guy, he's from Fujiwara school, and he notes that Ryohei, he has the little emblem on his... Because when he was at the shop the first time, he was wearing the Blue's Clues outfit, and now he's wearing his school uniform. He's like, oh, you're with Kazame. He's like, And so then, yeah, of course, they're like, well, did they even have a Kyoto club? Like, these guys are like, so they have the dark black navy Hakama, and they like look like a rival score. I'm wondering why the one guy has like a Nori Rin fan, like why he has a girls fan, like what's the deal? And then this one guy, they have like a big burly, sure, like Zono type guy that seems like so super enthusiastic, kind of like Ryohei. We're the famous Kurosaki High. We don't have to worry about a bunch of newbies. And then the guy with the glasses seems super chill. The guy with the glasses for Fujiwara's team, he seems like super chill, like, no, we're good, everything's fine. We have Fujiwara. We have him this year. So we see the two redheads, right? We see the two redheads. And then there's Fujiwara, who looks super serious. Fujiwara, he's so handsome and serious. I'm so excited to see more with him and his purple eyes. But yeah, finally, we're getting ready for our first tournament, of course. Getting ready for our first tournament. We're a fourth of the way through the season, if you can believe it. A fourth of the way through the season. But yeah, he's like, we're getting ready for our first tournament. And he's like, as you know, I can't draw a bow back due to back problems. So we're going to have somebody help. Hope that's okay. And so we've gotten our very own coach. And they're like, oh. And then the little block to the starting position. And then, of course, he comes in, skinny jeans and all, ready to go. And Minato's like, oh my gosh, who be this? And with his blazer, it's Masa. And yeah, they both say Masa-san. And like, what's interesting here is that Kaito has like blush on his face, like Masa-san. But I wonder if Kaito has been going to the Kyoto hall that he was at before. I'm so curious how they know each other. And Seiya's like, wait, how do you guys know him? What's going on? And Masa's like, oh, all right. Yeah, just like, what a cheeky grin. He knows. He knows exactly what he's doing. Right? Knows exactly what he's doing. So I like this. What I really like about this episode is getting both Ryohei and Kaito a little bit of their personalities, to see that they have some insecurities. Both of them do, which they have no reason to have insecurities. Kaito does not need to be insecure because, like Seiya says, it wasn't his fault they left the team. And then Ryohei is a literal walking ray of sunshine. He should not have to worry either. So it's interesting that we get into these characters as well. But there's still some mystery and tension with Seiya. They both know Fujiwara's on Kurosaki. Fujiwara's still mysterious. Masa's going to be a coach. That's all. I was really excited by the end of this episode, because before watching this episode, whenever we knew that Minato was going back, I was like, man, I was afraid that Masa was going to like become just this like this sage that's like in the shadows, and we'll see him like maybe once every 5 episodes and that's it. But no, he's going to be the coach. So he's going to be there all the time. Funny that. So I guess when he was telling Minato that he was leaving the hall, he's like, this is my last night. Now I have a new goal. That all makes sense now, because he was leaving the hall to go have this job as a coach. That's why he told Minato that this was his last goal here. Because it was. He was leaving there to go work at Kazumai. That's funny how that was a good foreshadowing for that. Who knew? Who knew, right? But yeah, so we're gearing up for our first tournament. Kaito and Minato, I'm sure, are going to be rocky the whole season, but it's fine. And I'm curious to see how this tournament works. Like we've got a little bit of a preview of how Kyoto works, like how the sport actually functions. But I'm curious to see what all goes into it. Like, what is the actual deal? How does it actually work? So that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see how it actually goes down. But I don't know. I'm really excited, though. This was a really good episode. It was a nice look into these characters, and it was nice to get the team assembled as best as we can. Preview Fujiwara and the twist at the end with both Kaito and Minato knowing Masa and him being the coach. Perfect. I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, pretty straightforward episode otherwise, but I am excited to hear your thoughts down below, what you all thought of this episode, and to see what all we have in store for us next week. We're a fourth of the way through the season, which feels weird. Very weird that we're already a fourth of the way through. But I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion with our best boy Ryohei this week. And Kaito. Kaito, he has potential. He's a tsundere, right? So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back next week with another episode of Tsurune. Bye.